All right, hello everyone. At the end of last week, we learned how to factor any quadratic that's in what's called standard form, which is written here, ax squared plus bx plus c. And the trinomial that we looked at the end of the week was this one. It was x squared minus 11x plus 24. And this video is just going to recap this process, which I call splitting the middle to factor this quadratic. As we can see, there are no greatest common factors that we can just factor out. So we're kind of stuck unless we know this process. Okay, the first thing that I do is I do what's called multiply the values of a and c. And I do this work off to the side. This is kind of like my scratch work area. And for today's purposes, in the beginning of this week, a is going to always be that value of 1. But the good thing to know is this process is going to work when a is not just 1, but all values. So today's multiplications are pretty easy. 1 times the value of c, 1 times 24 would be 24. So I start by multiplying the coefficients a and c. And with this number, I now I create a list of factors, which is two numbers that multiply to 24. So we can start with 1 and 24. We forgot on Friday about the negative, so I'll keep those in line too. 2 times 12 would give us 24, or negative 2 times negative 12. 3 is the next value. 3 times 8 is 24, or negative 3 times negative 8 would produce 24. And keep it going, we would have 4. 4 times 6 is 24, or negative 4 times negative 6 is 24. And I think that's it. Afterwards, if we try 5, 5 doesn't work. 6, we're kind of back to this row, 6 times 4. Okay, so once I list my factors, and you'll get better at it with more practice, we're going to try to what's called split this middle term. That's where it gets its name, splitting the middle. So I want to know how to split up negative 11 into some of these factors. And the two that you guys picked out from, or the pair of factors you guys picked out from Friday was this one. Because negative 3 and negative 8 not only multiply to 24, but they also add to negative 11. The rest of these factors, 1 and 24 make 25, negative 25, 14, negative 14, positive 11, no good, positive 10, negative 10. None of these other factors add to negative 11. So that's our lucky pair. We're going to do what's called now split the middle. And essentially, you're just rewriting this equation or expression by breaking up that middle term, right? We know negative 3 and negative 8 add to negative 11, so everything here is math equivalent. And how this helps is I now can employ a process called factor by grouping. So I look at the first two terms, and then I look at the last two terms kind of separately, and I'll say, what can I factor out there? I notice both of them have x in it. So we'll factor out an x, which will leave us with x minus 3, reverse distributive property. And then something I didn't have time to go over on Friday, on this case, I'm going to try to produce that x minus 3, so I'm going to factor out a negative 8. Because if I factor out a negative 8, the inside of my parentheses would say x, and then what times negative 8 would produce negative 24? There's that minus 3 again. And now what I notice is I have the same binomial in each of these terms, x minus 3. So we would, what's called, factor that out again. A lot of factoring here. And if I factor out x minus 3 from both of these, what it leaves me with is just that x and the negative 8, or x minus 8, or x plus negative 8. And what we've done here from beginning to end is we've factored this trinomial into two things that eventually we're going to solve by putting equals 0 and using the zero product law. If I'm multiplying two things that equal 0, one or both of them have to be equal to 0. So this is the splitting the middle factoring process. Please let me know if you have any questions or how I can help.